the other thing, the thing that was kind of most affecting, the thing that we found was the photograph. Bob, like 3 days after the assassination, and you look at this guy who's just a baby. He's just a kid, really. And my feeling about Bob was, I feel, really sympathetic to him, and he's, I guess, the person that I identify with when I watch the film. So I always had very warm feelings for Bob. As far as directing Casey, it's a scene by scene basis. You've got an idea of how you want scenes to be, and he's going to argue with you. And
you whipped him into shape throughout.
Sorry?
Right? You whipped him into shape.
Yeah, I had to really beat him off. No, but I mean, it's just it depends on the sort of. It really is. I mean, directing it's like playing cowboys in it's like playing cowboys and Indians when it works. You're using it. Everyone's using their imagination, and you're just trying stuff, and you kind of go fishing, right?
It was great. Andrew was. There's some directors I worked with give really bad direction, and there's some who don't give any direction, and they kind of, they try to, and then in the end, you sort of wonder what they're up to, and either they're sort of putting your performance into context, kind of shaping the movie around you, or they're not. And then there are people like Andrew's kind of doing both, kind of giving you very helpful, direction, kind of has a very clear vision of who the character was and all the characters in the movie, and had a real good way of articulating that while being a pain in the ass. And then, but could also kind of put, see what people were doing and put it into context. And, I trusted him pretty much. And he'd like to try different things. Why are you looking at me like that? He was great. Personally extremely difficult. But, as far as the kind of director-actor relationship, he was really helpful and sort of, finding new things and kind of taking it and a line or a scene or the whole big thing kind of in the direction that, maybe I hadn't considered.
How'd you prepare for Bob Ford?
I mean, not unlike kind of preparation for any other movie. It's kind of, I didn't really go to any acting school or do any kind of proper training that way. I guess, so I kind of spend a lot, I sort of just read the script and then kind of just stare at a wall and hope that like some ideas come to me. I mean, really, it ends up like a lot of time just sort of sitting there thinking, kind of pulling your hair out and trying to find something that is interesting, and to me. So, and then there's like a little bit of research, kind of find out as much as you can about the guy, and there wasn't that much available, so, but the book was a great resource, and the script was also kind of very rich in like, kind of character, stuff, and it seemed like a focus of the writing, and and then that's it, and then you kind of go into rehearsals, which there weren't that much of, but there were some, and kind of long conversations about stuff, and you just kind of go over it and over it in your mind until you kind of you start to collect little bits of things that seem to work, and then you try to like cobble all those bits together, and then hopefully it kind of, those cobbled bits turn into some sort of one organic, thing. Does that make sense?
Well, the book was clearly different, and very much I'm just trying to realize the book,
How was your relationship with the DP in terms of the more stylized photography that was used in the film?
It was good, Roger was, he wanted to try all that stuff. He's like a really versatile guy, he's not really selling a look, and if you look at his movies, they all look, really different from each other, and, I think he was attracted to the project because, I was going to, not freak out, and I wanted to do weird things, and he would go in that direction, so he's a cantankerous guy, and he's a person that's not really satisfied with what he's doing unless he's frightened. Do you know what I mean? He wants to be taking risks. If he's not taking risks, he sort of gets upset with himself, And when he does take risks, he's really worried that he's kind of, underexposed or something like that, so he's unbearable in those circumstances too. But he's fantastic, you know. And the other great thing about Roger was he really sees the movie in a holistic way, you know, in a really global sense. You know, he's concerned about not just his part of, you know, he's not just concerned about the photography. So he knows the demands of the picture, you know, like if you're doing stuff like this where you got to get really like detailed, nuanced performances, and you got to shoot like 8, you know, however many takes you got to shoot, it's going to cut into his lighting time. Roger will adapt because he knows what the demands of the picture are. So, you know, he was fantastic, you know.
The question is about the use of voiceover in the film. First of all, how do you find that guy? That guy's voice lends such a wonderful melancholy to the film, I feel. How did the narration come about for you?
Well, actually, he was the assistant editor.
Okay.
And it was, you know, the original editor on the picture just liked his voice, you know, and got him to read the narration as like, you know, temp narration, and it was kind of like a Pepsi challenge situation where we have every actor we could think of come in and read it, and they just never sounded as good as Hugh. I mean, Hugh loved the movie, and he saw everything, you know, so he's seen all the scenes that Casey's still crying over, and, you know, every sort of nuance of like, you know, forgotten moment. He really knew those people, and he kind of cared about them, and I don't know, he was really involved, you know, and he just sounded right.